Welcome, everybody. This is Peace News. We're live. Hey, it's December 2nd, 2014. I'm your host, Derek J. You can catch the show live on video and audio. And there's even a chat room built into the webpage at peacenewsnow.com/live. There, you will find other listeners chatting away, and you can send me messages there or via Skype at Peace News Now. You can also call in via our Hi-Fi Civ Disc call-in line. That's 443-424-8347. We talk about peaceful resistance on this show and the people who are courageous enough to stand up to arbitrary authority, like people who wear badges and order you around. Hey, one of those people is Nicole, and she joins me via Skype. Hey, Nicole.
Hey, Derek.
So you're a peaceful resistor. We met at PorkFest and hit it off. You joined me on Peace News for one of those special lost episodes, one of those episodes
Yes.
that gets lost in the interwebs or in space. It's out there somewhere reverberating against the planets and comets floating out there in space, because that episode did broadcast, but it was not recorded. So we have no record of it that we know of. So anyway, Nicole, you're a special guest for that reason. And for one other reason, you are holding a fundraiser right now for another peaceful resistor. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, my stepmother, she's been arrested for and charged with a DWI, even though she hasn't had a drop of alcohol in the last 3 years. She was in a really bad car accident at the beginning of November, and about 3 weeks afterwards, she got a call from the police saying that she needed to go down there so that they could charge her with DWI.
Wait a minute. The police called and said, you need to come down to the police station so that we can charge you?
Yes, I was actually sitting right next to her when she got the phone call.
What was her reaction like?
She was shocked.
Was she like, oh yeah, let me get right on that? Or was she like, maybe I don't have to go down to the police department and turn myself in? Or what would happen? I mean, was there a threat behind that? Like, come in or else?
Yeah, or else we'll come to the house and kidnap you, basically.
Hey, we'll
and
give you a
charge
free
with
ride.
resisting arrest.
Oh, but then another charge. Yeah, so the ride costs a year in jail.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was ridiculous.
So this is what happened. And did they give any time frame? So the police call your stepmom. You're sitting next to her. She gets the news, hey, you got to come to jail or come to the police department so that we can charge you with DWI. And you say she hasn't touched alcohol in years.
Right.
All right, so what's next? What happens then?
I told her, I said, do not go down there. I said, that's you turning yourself in, admitting, yeah, okay, I'll get charged for this, and going along with it. I told her left and right. Everybody told her, don't go down there, don't go down there. And a little while later, I got a call.
Why is that? Do you think things would have gone better for her if she hadn't contacted the police or hadn't gone down to the police department?
Honestly, I don't know. My boyfriend made the point that maybe it was better because had they gone to the house is a duplex. They could have maybe gone to the wrong apartment and harassed somebody who, a total stranger, or she and my father are both disabled. They could have come to the house and just made things horrible for both of them.
Boy, that's a great point. You really don't want the police coming into your house. Better to be on their turf, right?
Right.
Okay, so she turns herself in, then what happens?
She had the ticket for a DWI charge, and she goes to court on December 30th.
Wow. So she's handed a ticket. She's okay to drive home, or do they take away her license?
I'm unclear on that. She doesn't even have a vehicle, though. She had to find a ride down there because the vehicle that she had got totaled in the car accident.
Tell me about this car accident. Why did they think there was a DWI amiss?
She went to pick up dinner at a restaurant, and they had salads with like vinaigrette kind of dressing on there. And of course, food went everywhere.
Which is
She rolled.
vinaigrette is old wine, right? Fermented wine.
Yeah, basically, it's got that kind of a smell to it, you know. And so, of course, the food was plastered all over the inside of the truck after the roll down a very big hill and into the creek. And one of the paramedics said that he thought that he smelled alcohol, and so she was sitting in the water for a good half hour at least before anybody even saw her. And by the time they got her out of the truck, she'd been in there for close to a couple hours, and she had to get mercy flighted out of there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah,
that mean
it was-
with a helicopter?
Yeah, it was actually right down the road from me. I was watching things happen, basically.
Oh my God, that is pretty serious.
Yeah, I watched all these emergency vehicles go by, and they were
never
passing.
imagining it was for your own stepmother.
Exactly. They crossed the bridge next to my house, and they all went left. My father lives to the right, so when they were going the opposite way, I just thought, oh, good, everything's okay.
Yeah.
So I texted my dad, and I said, wow, you can probably hear all the sirens too. And he called and said, I think it's for Donna because she left over an hour ago to go 5 minutes away, and she's not back yet. So it was just crazy to watch this whole thing go down, just trying to find out first off if it's even her. And then we finally found out that the description matched, and then just trying to find out if she was alive, if she was responsive, anything like that, you know?
Wow, what a nightmare. So you and the family are wondering, is she alive? And the state is wondering, can we collect some revenue from this?
Yep, before they got into the helicopter, they wanted her to sign a consent form so they could take her blood and check for alcohol, because it was about
Whoa.
8:30 or 9 o'clock on a Friday night. And so, of course, they assume, oh, car accident on a Friday night, must have been drunk.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so innocent until proven guilty. We're just going to take your blood. You got no problem with that, right?
Yeah. I told her, I said, if it were me alone, of course I would not have done that. But she said, I got nothing to hide, and I just wanted to get into the helicopter. And so
Wait a minute. So they
it.
wouldn't give her medical treatment? It was a condition of her medical treatment that she signed this piece of paper that consented to her blood being drawn?
I'm unclear if it was a condition in that way, but before she got into the helicopter, I know they had her sign. From what I understand, they didn't draw her blood before she got in.
Yeah.
I guess she said that she signed the paper, and then when she got to the hospital, they drew her blood then.
Yeah, it certainly seems coercive to tell a person, hey, sign this before we bring you to the hospital. I mean, that is really something. Now, you've got a fundraiser going to support Donna, who is your stepmother, and she needs help because this is going to take a pretty serious attorney who knows what he's doing to get this person free from what I consider to be a false arrest. I mean, how could this person be arrested and charged with a DUI or a DWI in this case when they haven't committed any crime, haven't harmed anyone? The only victim is her, Donna. Right. So now she's being punished, adding insult to injury. So you can help Donna at gofundme.com/pleasehelpdonna. And you also accept Bitcoin.
I do. The Bitcoin address has been added as of today. It's all the way at the bottom of the description.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's actually an update right at the top.
Right. I see it right there at the top, and I'm doing a screen share so everyone can see. It starts 1JW and ends in P88. So get your Bitcoin donations over there while GoFundMe still allows you to, or send your Federal Reserve notes. Every bit helps. And when's the deadline? When is the court date?
The court date is on December 30th.
December 30th. So thank you so much, Nicole, for calling in. The website, again, is gofundme.com/pleasehelpdonna. And please help Donna. Show that voluntary interactions can bring about the peaceful future that we want to see.
I love my Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth.
Hey, thank you,
Awesome.
Nicole. I appreciate
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate
It was
it.
good to talk to you again.
Yeah, rock on. And I wish you
Yeah.
the best. Good luck getting those donations to come in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Peace.
All right. Bye.
$25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
If you're looking for work, the person you are applying to may be even more nervous than you are. And the way things are now, your references have never been more important. Here are 3.
Hey guys, if you are watching or listening at home, I want to encourage you to donate to make this show possible. I rely on you, the viewers, for this production. I, of course, do it because I enjoy it. This is a hobby of mine. This is not my main source of income. But hey, if I'm providing value to you, if you enjoy this content, kick a donation my way via Bitcoin by scanning that QR code on your screen. I, like others, recommend about 50 cents a podcast. I think that's pretty fair. And, if you're getting any bits of enjoyment out of it, 50 cents from each little person who watches the video could, compensate me pretty fairly for the time that I spend producing this show and getting it online and polishing it up and getting guests and stuff. So really appreciate it. All the donations that I've received so far, I am just ever so grateful for. And thank you to those of you who continue to donate into the future. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same great prices, and LRN gets a cut. Please do your online shopping at shop.lrn.fm. Gabino lives in Palcapata, Peru. He buys old appliances like irons, radios, and TV sets, fixes them up, and resells them. He saw an opportunity to expand his business and needed a loan to buy more appliances. Free Talk Live helped him get a loan, and the expansion was a success. You can help us help more people by getting your coffee through coffee.freetalklive.com. Make a difference, 1 cup at a time. Get a free pound to try out the subscription. Cancel anytime. Coffee.freetalklive.com.
Did you know you can get news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm. It's all free, so sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can do that, and it's tough to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa,
Excuse me.
Hey, who do you think excuse me?
There is no video audio allowed in this.
No, I have work today. This is
You ain't gonna make it.
now. Wait a minute.
You got it, Rose.
Whoa.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Because you're scared of me. What am I being paid for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Got some crazy stories here for you. I'm reading one from fpp.cc, linked. It appears to have been originally sourced from the Free Thought Project. Matt Agrist writes, headline, cop fired for beating a non-violent handcuffed man on video. Gets job back and back pay. So we'll talk about that. Plus, Obama orders 263 million police body cameras and training. Is it $263 million or 263 million cameras? Not clear on that, but we'll get to that story. And Ashton Carter to replace the Secretary of Defense Ron Paul says that America should be minding its own business. And Judge Napolitano joins Jon Stewart on a late-night comedy show and shows us what libertarians should be looking like on late-night comedy shows. Napolitano employs the power of the understatement.
This is Chris Jansen.
Whoa.
The fallout from
All right,
Ferguson
suddenly
is
we're
extending
hearing
well
something
beyond its borders.
from
After armored
NBC News. Thank you for rudely interrupting my program with your autoplay videos. It's just a scourge of the internet, these autoplay videos. Nobody wants to instantly be interrupted with your audio. Have to turn that off. So anyway, yeah, the story is Obama calls for police body cameras in the wake of Ferguson, and yes, it is $263 million for the cameras. That's not the number of them being sent out. But first, I want to get to the fun part, the nanny of the month. This always comes to us from Reason.tv. They produce these 2-minute segments asking who is the worst among politicians, who are the nanny staters, the people who want the government to control you and punish those around you who would dare to act free. This comes to us from Reason.tv.
You people make me sick.
They make it their business to mind your business. As if used condoms weren't enough to sour commuters on public transit, now a New York City official wants to ban backpacks, or at least force strap hangers to place them on the ground, which is often filthy.
People are outraged over a proposed ban on tobacco for the entire town.
Outraged residents at a public meeting in Westminster, Massachusetts, made officials rethink a proposal that would ban the sale of all tobacco and nicotine products.
I find smoking to be one of the most disgusting habits anybody could possibly do. On top of that, I find this proposal to be even more of a disgusting thing.
The Board of Health meeting was cut short by protesters, but the proposal is far from dead. Westminster's 3-person board will render a decision in December, but this month we zero in on New York City. It's the scene of that catcalling video that went viral, as well as a debate spurred by the New York Times about whether street harassment should be against the law. Likening catcalling to cross-burning, sociology professor Laura Beth Nielsen says the law should allow women to sue those who verbally harass them. Some Missouri cities have laws that can stick verbal harassers behind bars. Kansas City is the most recent to adopt such an ordinance, which was passed in order to encourage residents to walk and bike more. Hollaback, the organization that made the viral video, doesn't think criminalization is the solution to street harassment, but only time will tell if America's lawmakers agree.
Sexy American Eagle.
Follow the show on Twitter, submit your nanny nominees, and stay tuned later this month for Nanny of the Year.
Woo! I can't wait to see who the nanny of the year is, and good on Reason TV for always being able to produce these entertaining info videos, that bring to light some of the serious things that are happening. Can criminalization of speech, which is what banning catcalling is, can criminalization of that activity really reduce the amount of assaults or harassment that's going to happen? Is that going to reduce the amount of harassment? Well, you got to think about all the laws that ever exist are enforced. Keyword, force. So who is exactly enforcing this? Well, the police. So what would happen? We will use our imaginations. If you were really to ban catcalling, it would be a police officer's duty, as he's sitting there scanning the streets with his eyes to see, what's going on. Is anyone being robbed? Anyone being raped? Anyone calling out for help? Fires going on or anything I need to do right now? Oh, wait a minute. I just heard a man call a woman beautiful. Now I have to go investigate. Yeah, so he goes, investigates. Hey, did you just call that woman beautiful? Yes, I did, sir. She's a lovely lady. Well, that's illegal. You can't catcall here in New York City. What do you think this is? Freedom Town? So then the cop gives you a citation. So the citation says, appear in court or pay $100 and you don't have to do anything more. Okay, so you call a woman beautiful, or maybe you say something really horrible. Maybe you say, your teeth are ugly, and you really are harassing someone in that way. Well, does that mean you owe the state $100? or any time at all or any of your money? I mean, according to them, if you're criminalizing an activity, that's going to be the punishment, right? You're going to take some of your time, some of your money, maybe some of your freedom, maybe put you on a list. Yeah. I don't see that as a solution to harassment. In fact, I see that as an amplification of harassment. It's just harassment by a different group. What would be a real solution is empowering women and all people with the message to speak up. Speak up for yourself. You are not a puppet. You are a free man and woman. And you are free to speak your mind. Act like it. Now, this woman in the viral video, we've gone over this before in Peace News, she doesn't say a word. Well, that's no way to act. You don't want people to communicate with you. There are ways of communicating that, right? And this woman in the video was a paid actress who was told not to communicate. Now, who knows what she would really have done in that situation. It probably would have helped her to say, I don't want to talk right now, or I'm not interested, or communicate her lack of interest instead of just use nonverbal clues, because no one's a mind reader. We don't know what you're thinking unless you say it. You know, of course, a lot of communication is nonverbal, but until it's made explicitly clear that you don't want to be talked to or addressed in that way, then who can really call it harassment? Of course, you're free to disagree. 443-424-8347 is the Hi-Fi Safe Disc call-in line. And now let's turn to a story about Obama. I never talk about Obama and the federal government because I like to ignore these people. I can't imagine how they claim legitimacy or how they claim authority over me, my life, or you, your life for that matter, and how they get to make the rules about how things should go in the U.S. Know what you just heard there was the beginning of a clip from NBC News that I'll share with you on the other end of this break. But I just want to introduce a concept. President Barack Obama on Monday proposed new funding meant to help improve relations between police departments and minority communities, saying there is a simmering distrust between the two groups that extends well beyond the unrest in Ferguson, Missouri. Credit where credit's due, he's right. And I think he's doing the right thing. This is Peace News.
Freedom Feeds with Michael Dean and his weird friends.
Mr. Michael Dean, and this is my show, Freedom Fiends.
I love that.
I hope you like it. If you don't, I don't really care. I don't make it for the masses. I make it for the cool weirdos who are up late at night. Insomniacs, swing shift workers, the homeless. Yeah.
People in other countries.
People in other countries who are at their day job that's 9 to 5. Good point. Good point. The unemployed, the underemployed, the worried.
Okay, y'all. Now, if y'all are feeling a little worried tonight and you've got a hamster running around in your brain, we have a solution for you. Just put your hands on your computer or your telephone, and the spirit of the fiends is going to come rushing right through, and it's going to heal you.
Listen on LRN.FM Monday through Friday, midnight to 2 a.m. U.S. Central Time, and weekends, noon to 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Do you need access to money? Do you need cash today? If you are receiving a structured settlement due to a lawsuit, or you are receiving pension payments over a long period of time, the Money Settlement Hotline can get you instant funding now. With your cash today, you can pay off credit card debt, pay medical bills, fund your education, or improve your home. You don't need to wait. It's true. If you're receiving a structured settlement or pension payment spread out over time and you want a lump sum amount immediately, then you need to call now. They will turn your long-term structured settlement or pension payments into a lump sum larger cash payout, so you'll get all of your money instantly. If you have a structured settlement or pension and you want cash today, call the Money Settlement Hotline right now. 888-785-0616, 888-785-0616, 888-785-0616. That's 888-785-0616.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
We'll be right back, guys. We're coming back in 1 minute, so thank you for staying tuned. If you're just joining us, we'll be talking about Obama ordering cameras on cops. What do you think about this idea? You can call in 443-424-8347. That gets you on the air. We don't do any screening of the call, so whatever you want to talk about, Obama, anything peace-related, we want to hear it and interact with you. You can also send a Skype contact request to Peace News Now. That'll be accepted, and then I'll put you on the air. And it sounds so much better, so do it that way if you want to call in. Thanks.
The FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com and the monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
What is going on, world? Hey, is it snowing where you are? I'm broadcasting from Keene, New Hampshire, here in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world. You know, if you haven't heard about the exciting things that are going on in Keene, I urge you to visit the website freekeene.com. There's always something exciting going on, whether it's usually media production. There are so many great shows that are produced from this area. Puke and the Gang is a popular podcast that I just can't get enough of. Another is Black Sheep Rising, one of the shows that I was fortunate enough to see get created, just get its roots right here in Keene, as Conan, a recent mover to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project, just got in there and started producing just an amazing show. Freedom Fiends, of course, I'd sometimes broadcasted from Keene in the Shire. So learn about Keene, and if you really love freedom, if you love freedom so much that you just want to be around other people who love freedom, and you want to work towards achieving liberty in your lifetime, if that goal sounds exciting to you, go to freestateproject.com, sign the pledge to move to New Hampshire. Thousands of others are doing it, and they're already having victories in the State House, in mainstream media, and right here at home among communities, providing for their friends and neighbors with voluntary charities and showing how the state isn't necessary at all. I mean, not for anything, not for any of the services they provide. We can do such a better job providing for our friends and neighbors and looking out for the least among us when the government just gets out of the way. But now, a counterexample. This is an example where the government is actually doing something right. And yeah, of course, it's not 100%. It's not perfect. One of our commenters pointed out that these cameras that Obama is ordering be worn by all the different law enforcers across the country are going to cost quite a bit, about $3,000 each over 3 years. We'll get to those numbers. So returning to the article from NBC News, first we'll play the clip, and then we'll get to the rest of the article. So have a listen.
Fallout from Ferguson is extending well beyond its borders. After armored personnel carriers rolled on the streets of Ferguson, Missouri in August, critics said the militarization of local police escalated the tension and the violence after the shooting of Michael Brown. Now, a 16-page review concluding local law enforcement, but when local police lack adequate training, make poor operational choices, or improperly use equipment, these programs can facilitate excessive use of force. Those federal programs provide local police with everything from machine guns, ammunition magazines, and silencers to armored cars and aircraft, much of it military surplus. So vehicles designed to sustain explosions in Iraq are used by SWAT teams in Fort Myers and Cape Cod. After a series of meetings today, the president promised programs to bring police and communities together.
Part of the reason this time will be different is because the President of the United States is deeply invested in making sure that this time is different.
The president is also asking for $263 million for community policing, including $75 million for body-worn cameras. A year-long test in California showed dramatic results. Far fewer complaints of police abuse, and use of force was way down. So what's next? Attorney General Eric Holder is in Atlanta tonight, the first stop on a nationwide tour addressing the issues raised in Ferguson. And one 20-year-old who met with the president today told me, and he was emotional, that in 2014, young people shouldn't have to feel their lives don't matter.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it sounds a little expensive.
Only described by 911 callers as a 6-foot man.
Get out of here. Oh, of course, that's not a good solution because I need the text of the article to read from it. But gosh darn, if NBC and all you rest of you mainstream websites, do stop it with the autoplay crap. It makes your websites unusable. All right. I hope you're listening. So, all right. Obama requesting $263 million for these cameras. Now, which is it? Is it 270 whatever million, or is it 75 million? It says the program, which would need congressional approval, would offer a total of 75 million over 3 years to match state funding for the cameras by 50%. So if you do the math, that's 150 million all told, part of it coming from the states, helping to pay for 50,000 of the devices. Quick, simple math. That means each of the devices is about $3,000 each. 150 million divided by 50,000, $3,000 each. So my first question is that for the training as well as the camera? Because I've never seen a handheld camera that's $3,000. Well, the announcement came as Obama held a series of meetings with law enforcement personnel, civil rights leaders, and cabinet officials to discuss possible reforms to ease mistrust towards police, particularly in minority communities. This is not just a problem of Ferguson, Missouri. This is a national problem, Obama said. And he also said, if you caught it in that clip, that the thing that's going to make this different is that the President of the United States is invested in making it different. Oh, really? Yeah, just like you were invested in closing Guantanamo Bay. Yeah, because that's been closed for... Actually, oh, wait. You promised you would close Guantanamo Bay back in 2008 when you were running and hadn't yet been elected, Obama, but you haven't done that. And it's 2014, I should remind you. It's almost 2015, still haven't closed Guantanamo Bay. So I'm not sure I believe you when you say this next time is going to be different because the president's invested in it. Yeah, baloney. You'd say one thing and do another. Now, this law... We'll see. I mean, you can't just make it up. And now that it's a law, the money's going to go where it needs to go. How can the government screw this one up? The only way I can imagine is just that they're overcharging for it, and someone's getting a little kickback. He's like, "Hey, Johnny, we went to college together, and you produced these wearable cameras. So what's you say I give your company the contract for this and kick a little bit extra your way? Maybe cost you say that they cost about 300% of what they actually cost, and we pay for it all with taxpayer money. The people who were victimizing here will extract the money from them and use it on however we see fit to pay for these expensive cameras on our officers. So we benefit, you benefit, the taxpayers are on the hook, and who cares about them anyway, right?" So this is one of the reasons why I object to paying taxes. You know, while I think it's important that police should be wearing cameras, yeah, it would reduce police violence. And as we've seen in California, it reduces the number of reports of police abuse. But you know what's really, it takes the personal responsibility away from you. You're the one who should be holding the camera, not the police officer. Yeah, it's great that the police have cameras. It keeps them accountable, and it can be used to vindicate you if there's ever a police abuse situation. But darn it, you're the one who should be holding the camera. You're the one who needs to change the paradigm, who needs to change the way this world works by changing yourself. Do you carry a camera everywhere you go? Are you prepared to live stream at the drop of a hat? Because that's what's going to change this world when people start cop blocking. We've got a great show on LRN.FM, Cop Block Radio. If you haven't checked it out, it's every Wednesday night, 10 to midnight, and it is a call-in show. So you could share your stories of police abuse and hear the stories that are happening around the country. Copblock.org, another great website filled with stories of how you can hold police accountable. It's got tools you can use, not just resources like literature, but tools like, hey, these are what cameras activists are using to protect themselves. This is the dash cam that I use in my car. And yeah, so let's change the paradigm. Let's take some personal responsibility, and let's join these officers and Obama in doing the right thing. They're arming themselves with video cameras. You should be arming yourself with a video camera. If you don't already have one in your purse, in your bag, in your car, near your window, by your door, change the paradigm by changing yourself. Take personal responsibility. It's the only way. You can't change others. You can only change yourself. So carry a camera. We're glad. We celebrate. Obama's doing the right thing in this case. It's unfortunate he's doing it with taxpayer money, but nothing's perfect. We'll return. We've got another story. This one from antiwar.com. What's going on in the Middle East? We'll give you an update. This is Peace News.
On LRN.FM, we talk a lot about alternative currencies. Did you know that now you can buy gold, silver, and other precious metals with Bitcoins? LRN.FM has partnered with Amaji Metals to bring you great prices on beautiful .999 fine silver, as well as gold, platinum, and other metals. Check out their selection and pay with Bitcoins or Federal Reserve notes at metal.lrn.fm. That's metal.lrn.fm. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. Find out about giving to our Google AdWords campaign at amp.freetalklive.com. That's amp.freetalklive.com.
The three most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
Hey, and thanks to those of you who are following along watching this video, despite the ads. You know, I like to keep the show upbeat and entertaining at all times, but of course there are ads because we play on LRN.FM and go out over different radio networks. So I appreciate those of you who stay along throughout the breaks. I used to put up a QR code and it was kind of boring, but now you can watch behind the scenes. I'm going to go grab some water, but we'll be back in 90 seconds. So grab some water yourself, grab some popcorn, grab a bowl, whatever you want. And I'd love to see you on the other side. We'll be right back.
No worries. You can listen to LRN.FM from any phone, anywhere. Add this number to your phone. 213-493-0309. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. Liberty Radio Network listen lines are locked into our stream 24 hours a day. Call 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country.
Yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market, making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people like passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to Peace News. I'm Derek J. Let's talk about the Middle East, huh? I was just going on a tear about personal responsibility, how we need to change the paradigm, change ourselves. You know, part of that culture change is about embracing that personal responsibility to protect your friends and neighbors and yourself. One of the shirts that I'm wearing today is Peacekeeper. It comes from peacekeeper.org, where you can buy swag to support the efforts there. And peacekeeper.org, it's really about a change in culture. It's about people taking personal responsibility and forming these decentralized, autonomous groups where people can protect themselves, whether it be for intruders or fires or abductions. You can take responsibility for protecting your friends. Instead of saying, hey, just call 911. Why don't you call the local gang? Yeah, surely they'll come up with the most rational response, right? Well, too often police are not doing the right thing when they bust in through your door to save you. People have called the police over their suicidal children and then gotten shot. People have called about intruders and then been shot themselves. So there's all sorts of reasons why you wouldn't want to depend on the police for your protection, at least among the reasons would be that they're not obligated to protect you. So in places like Detroit and New York City, sometimes people who call the police and say, hey, I need help, there's someone at my door, they're saying, we're not taking those calls right now, miss. Sorry, hang in there. I hope we can address your problem tomorrow if you're still around. So this personal responsibility thing is good and is really important. Peacekeeper.org offers not only services about training to prepare for an emergency, but also a free, no, not free. It's a cost $2.99 for their app. Well worth the money. If it could save your life, $2.99 is a pretty small price to pay. $2.99. That's not $200. So yeah, for a service or a replacement to the police, I'd pay $2.99. I think that's well worth the money. Now, let's turn to antiwar.com, where there are a few things happening, a couple major headlines. Ashton Carter is Hagel's likely replacement for the Department of Defense. Plus, Oakley, Michigan secret police sue village, demand to keep their name secret because of ISIS. Weird story, also from antiwar.com. Iraq, 5,640 killed in November. 465 more on Monday, just yesterday. At least 465 were killed and 25 more wounded. We'll get the details on that story because you're not hearing it from the mainstream news. You can bet you turn on Fox News or MSNBC or CNN, any of the outlets you like, you're not going to find this news. Only at antiwar.com and, of course, Peace News. Then ISIS kills 16 Iraqi troops along the Syrian border. Did you know that? Tribes reported ISIS celebrations after the attack on the crossing. Let's get to this story first. Though ISIS holds the overwhelming majority of the territory in Iraq's Anbar province and the overwhelming majority of the territory in Syria's Deir ez-Zor province, they don't always control the border crossings between the two. And that's important, as I'll share with you via screen share. Again, if you're just tuning in, you can see this show at peacenewsnow.com/live. And on screen, I'm sharing with you a map of Iraq just so that you can get a feel for where we're talking about here. So they're looking to change that. That is ISIS looking to control the border crossings between their two territories, sacking the Walid border crossing today and killing, this was yesterday, and killing 16 Iraqi soldiers who were stationed there to guard the crossing. 4 other soldiers were wounded. Tribal leaders in the city of Al-Ruthba, not far from the crossing, reported ISIS fighters returned to the town after the attack jubilant, firing their guns in the air in celebration. The physical pre-war border crossings are little more than a formality at this point, as ISIS has bulldozed much of the border itself, and controlling both sides allows people to flow back and forth at will. What else is happening in Iraq? Well, 5,640 people were killed in November. 465 of them were just yesterday. November closed with fewer reported deaths than did October, but at least 5,640 were killed, and 2,574 were wounded during the month. The antiwar.com analysis is below. On Monday, at least 465 were killed and 25 more were wounded, mostly in airstrikes and battles. So in this column, antiwar.com counted 5,149 killed and 1,441 wounded during November. Of those deaths, over 1,000 were those of civilians and security personnel. Another 1,300 civilians and security personnel were wounded. Militants lost 4,000 of their own. At least 140 were wounded. The United Nations reported higher figures for civilians and security personnel, but they didn't count militant deaths. They found that 1,200 were killed and another 2,400 were wounded. They considered their numbers to be the absolute minimum. Another 400 were killed in Anbar, according to the health department. That would bring the total figures for the month up to 5,640. Last month, 6,715 people were killed and 2,800 were wounded. Due to the nature of the conflict, exact figures are impossible, so these are low estimates. The Kurds warned that they're going to tighten the border against the influx of refugees from both Iraq and Syria, so they're not happy with all these refugees. They fear too many militants are getting through along with the refugees. Several other problems are cropping up as well. The owners of the private properties many are camping on want their properties back. Also, rations such as food and soap are running low. The numbers of displaced in northern Iraq is estimated to be 2.1 million. These are displaced people. Because of the conflict, they are without their homes. 2.1 million. Do you think they're happy with U.S. involvement here? I mean, were things actually better under the dictator before U.S. intervention? I mean, I don't know if you can even consider what the Middle East would look like without U.S. intervention, since it's been there since at least the 50s. Today, militants attacked the Al-Walid checkpoint on the border with Syria. They killed 16 soldiers and wounded 4 more. 20 militants were killed. 8 people were killed and 20 were wounded during a mortar attack in Balad. Militants killed 12 Shiite militiamen in clashes near Samarra. An unknown number of militants were also killed. An unknown number. Isn't this what war looks like? I mean, you just read this list. Several other people died. Several hundred more people died here in a city that I can't even pronounce. In Mokdadia, 7 security members were wounded. Security forces killed 12 militants. A volunteer was wounded in battle at Karatapa that also left 2 militants dead. Shiite militants were redeployed from Jalala and Sadia to the town of Bashir near Kirkuk. 160 militants were killed in the fighting, while another 100 were killed in airstrikes. Airstrikes. Battles. I mean, what is the point? Are they getting anywhere? Is anything being accomplished? Is there more freedom now because of all these deaths? Or are these people just killing each other needlessly? Is anything really being achieved with all this bloodshed? I tell you, the cycle of violence has to end somewhere. I urge you, if you're a person who believes in peace, withdraw your support for this war and all wars by engaging in peaceful, voluntary interactions. One way you can do that is to divorce yourself from blood dollars, those dollars that fund wars. Federal Reserve notes, trade in gold, silver, Bitcoin, and barter. Divorce yourself from the state of war.
This is the Onion Weekend Review. Poets across the nation issued a statement Thursday announcing that shadows, inky sharp as the raven's beak, meet the clouds like dusty charcoal on an ashen brow. Citing the ageless gloom of morning and a weary sun, its astroluminescence wrapped in arid gauze, the report noted that doubt lingers in the frail minutes of a young dawn.
For what is the sound of hope? For what is life's moment of fulfillment? The subtle lie of spring prolongs the inquisition. Father! Father! Do you not sense the dread of autumn's looming song danced in trembling half-step? 1, 2, 1, 2.
The poets later added, womb, womb, womb. And in local news, a sad sack is bullied by an area goose. In other news, a photographer specializes in those pictures where lights going by really fast look like lines. An entree is apparently the kind you squeeze lime over, and employees finally get that break room bathtub they wanted.
This is the Onion News Network.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.lrn.fm. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit the Liberty Radio Network when you shop at Amazon via shop.lrn.fm.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Pure Life Water, helping you drink better and live better by providing a zero-calorie alternative to sugary drinks. Visit us at nestle-purelife.us. When kids are playing, they often don't want to stop to keep hydrated. So send them out with a bottle of water and encourage them to take frequent drink breaks or call them inside for a quick sip. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
More Peace News Now is coming up next, live after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Online at thelibertybeat.com. I'm Brian Hagan with your Liberty Beat for Tuesday, December 2nd, 2014. Gold closed Monday at $1,206, up $39. Silver closed at $16.40, up 93 cents. And Bitcoin is trading around $377.25. Today's Bitcoin price brought to you by ExpressCoin, the fastest and most reliable way to buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin today at expresscoin.com. This edition of Liberty Beat is sponsored by Marjorie Wildcraft's Grow Your Own Groceries. Homegrown food on every table. That's growyourowngroceries.org. In the news,
On Monday, President Barack Obama said he's asking Congress for $75 million to buy 50,000 body cameras for local law enforcement. President Obama also stated he would not be making changes to the federal 1033 program that supplies local law enforcement with military equipment. The announcement comes a week after protesters and police clashed in Ferguson, Missouri, following a grand jury's decision not to indict Aaron Wilson for the murder of Michael Brown. Supreme Court justices this week are debating the question of where the line should be drawn between free speech and illegal threats when made in an online forum. The case argued yesterday involves a Pennsylvania man convicted of making violent threats. Lawyers for Anthony Alona say he didn't mean to threaten anyone. They contend the government must prove he actually intended his comments as actual threats to others. The government argues the real test is whether his words would make a reasonable person feel threatened. The American Civil Liberties Union is supporting a Baltimore man in his efforts to dismiss evidence gathered by the Baltimore Police Department using controversial cell site simulators known as stingrays. Robert Harrison is a suspected accomplice in a murder-for-hire plot. Police were able to locate and gather information about Harrison using the stingray, which they did without the use of a warrant. The ACLU filed an amicus brief in support of Harrison, stating that the stingray violated his Fourth Amendment. The government did not gain proper authorization to use the device, and they should reveal information about how the device is applied. The Liberty Beat is brought to you in part by eFoods Direct, redefining the way you think about storable food. They've created a menu of food that's so good, so easy to make, you'll find yourself eating it every day, even though it has a shelf life of up to 25 years. eFoods Direct is offering 10% off to all Liberty Beat listeners. Just go to efoodsdirect.com/LibertyBeat or call 800-620-5520 and mention Liberty Beat for your savings today. Support for Liberty Beat also comes from The Corey Moore Show, comedy focused, liberty minded, live each Friday night at 10 o'clock Eastern Time at CoreyMooreShow.com. This is the Liberty Beat for Tuesday, December 2nd, 2014. Check out the website.
Hello.
Hey, Derek, how's it going?
Oh, it's excellent, and you sound crisp and clear and wonderful. Thank you for dialing in on Skype. Hey, I noticed that you're using video. Would you like to be on video?
I don't know. What do you think's better?
It's up to you. I'll invite you to the Google Plus Hangout, and you can either accept it or ignore it. It's up to you. Here, your email address that I should use for that is peacekeeper.
Cody@peacekeeper.org.
Okay.
Should I drop off Skype and just? I'll drop off Skype and just accept that one.
Okay, rad. I will send you a link via Facebook so that you don't have to check your email and stuff, if that's easy.
Sounds good.
Cool. See ya.
See ya.
Tanzanian government to seize a portion of their land for a wildlife corridor. The indigenous community says they will use violence if necessary to defend their way of life. The Liberty Beat is made possible by Midas Resources Incorporated, helping clients convert their paper 401ks and IRAs to solid gold and silver. Get their 10 Reasons book free by calling 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237. Want to reach tens of thousands of like-minded listeners every day with your messenger product? The Liberty Beat is looking for sponsors for their daily news service. Support this grassroots media project while expanding your reach to a targeted market. To inquire further, visit liberty.com/advertise. This is the Liberty Beat for Tuesday, December 2nd, 2014. I'm Brian Hay. Good morning. Reminding you, spread liberty with us.
If you're a parent, chances are you know all about the Spooky Truth Book with subjects ranging from...
Hello.
Hello.
What's up?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you great.
Awesome.
We'll be back live in 30 seconds. Did you hear me talking about you earlier, or are you just tuning in?
I did. Nope, I heard it.
Cool, cool. Awesome. Yeah,
I was listening. Oh,
I feel like
perfect. I'm not wearing mine.
I wore it at the store today. I'm working at a Porcupine thrift store. It's a Free Stater-owned thrift store business that just opened up this month, and I love wearing my Peacekeeper shirt to show off. All right, we're coming back. Hey, welcome back. It's the second hour of Peace News. We're live. It's December 2nd, 2014. Not going to be 2014 for much longer. Oh, here comes 2015 and knocking. And there's time for your calls. You can jump in, dial 443-424-8347, or send a Skype contact request to Peace News Now. And then I'll put you on the air. And if you're really special, like our next guest, I'll even put you in the Google Hangout so we can watch you live. What's going on, Cody Drummond of Peacekeeper.org? I was just talking about you and how cool your services are.
Yes, totally. You know, I called to chime in about the body camera contracts a little bit because I think that's a good conversation to have.
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, you know, I think it's a bit. I think it's good that someone's finally pushing police body cameras, but at that price point, I am a little bit upset and completely amazed. $3,000 per camera. That's incredible.
Kind of a lot of money for a camera. I mean, what should they be costing?
You know, I don't know exactly what they should be costing, but I would be very surprised if it was anything near that. You know, if I had to take a guess, I would say it should be well under $500 per camera.
Yeah, well, we don't know what they can do. I mean, if these are cameras that can live stream to the internet, or if they can send an automatic video feed back to home base, and where it's digitally stored off-site, like off the camera, so that there's no video tampering when the police get to the video. I mean, we don't know what they do yet. Maybe they're amazing cameras, and they're well worth $3,000.
Right. I mean, I kind of think of like the GoPro cameras, you know, and those things are awesome, killer HD. And aren't they like $400 or something? And those are like top notch, top of the line.
Yeah, it does seem to me like this is another story of government scratching someone's back who probably scratched theirs. Like, you know, those scanners at the TSA. I remember hearing that, okay, we're getting a bunch of scanners, body scanners at the TSA, and oh, what do you know? The guy who makes the scanners went to college with the president, and he's making, you know, buttloads of money selling these things that are basically useless and unnecessary. But it's like, okay, these cameras aren't useless and unnecessary, but who's getting the kickback from this? You know, who's seeing
I get a feeling that the person that's gonna, or the company that's probably gonna get this contract is Taser. I don't know if you've heard of them. They already provide the police tasers, and their most recent thing is pushing the police body cameras. I think they're really riding this wave of police accountability here that people are starting to demand. So they're coming out in full force in favor of police body cameras and really trying to, you know, get them out there. So I think it's really good timing, and I think that you'll probably see most of the contracts going to that company.
Sure. Shouldn't we be celebrating this, though? I mean, I can see libertarians and anarchist types saying, oh, but the government shouldn't be using taxpayer money. You know, there's always something to complain about. I'm really celebrating this. I mean, credit where credit's due. Obama bombs people and does really bad things. So, like, buying body cameras, I'll take it.
I think it should be a celebration. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think overall it's a good thing. At the same time, the price just blew me away.
Yeah, it does seem.
I do think it's a great thing. You know, I'd rather have my money spent on that than dropping bombs overseas. So, hey.
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't get to choose, and they are going to do both. So, oh well.
You're probably right about that.
At least it should change the culture, right? Because what we saw in California was when these body cameras rolled out, there were fewer instances of police abuse. Well, that should be a good thing. It's not just by virtue of them being recorded, that's the good. You know, that's not the ends. the end is more peace. We want more peace on the streets. We want these people to act like peace officers, and hopefully a video record will be just the tool to do that.
Yeah, I think it can help in a lot of ways. I think at the same time, I don't know if it's going to change the culture. I think another thing that could happen is people might see a lot more abuse stories and just get used to it.
That is
because they're seeing it all the time, every day, and just learn to cope with it and deal with it. But at the same time, I don't think that's a reason. That should be a reason why we don't have them.
Well, that's a great point. It can be desensitizing. As someone who is sort of a news junkie, I see these stories all day, every day. And it starts to get to be like, yeah, another one. I can't really pay attention to that. It's happening everywhere. And being inundated with these stories, it sort of becomes easy to dismiss them. What do you think about the change in culture of people not taking personal responsibility for recording the police? What about people who say, like, those say, oh, well, I give money in taxes and the government has welfare, so I'm taking care of the poor. I don't need to give to private charity. It's the same argument against video recording. Hey, the government's taking my tax money and putting body cameras on the police. I don't need to own a camera and record the police.
Right. That's kind of another concern that I have. I kind of agree with you on that one. Is I think it's important. I think it's really important that the people doing the recording is not the state, for a lot of reasons. One of them is just the accountability, or the responsibility is transferred from who it should be with to the police and the state. And another reason is police have had dash cameras for a really long time on their cruisers and stuff, and when they are the ones doing the recording, they're the ones that get to decide whether or not to release the footage, where that footage goes, where it's stored. So if it was live streamed to the internet, I would be pretty excited about that, but I have a feeling that it won't be.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be the best case scenario. Is okay, the cameras are paid for by the officers. They they get it taken out of their paycheck, so the taxpayers feel no burn on this, and the video is live streamed to the internet and saved forever in a database that Google provides for free, so that we don't have any expenditure to the regular taxpayers, and the world becomes a safer place because police are afraid of acting like criminals on video. That would be the best case scenario. I guess the worst case scenario is every camera costs $1 million. Every cop needs 10 of them, and they don't work whenever a crime is committed. I mean, that would be the real worst case scenario, and I think it'll probably be somewhere in between, right? We're going to get some of each.
Right.
But that shouldn't take away from the importance of you at home, taking personal responsibility, putting some sort of app on your phone so that you can live stream when you need to, so that you're in control of the video evidence, so you don't have to beg for the video from the local authorities. Oh, hey, that time when you raped me on top of your cruiser, officer? Yeah, I'd like the video from that. Good luck getting that video, because he's not going to want to release something that incriminates himself, right? So if you control the video, it's a different story. You have the power. So in the remaining minutes, will you talk about your awesome app, Peacekeeper, and some of the amazing things it can do? If people go to peacekeeper.org.
Yeah, sure. And I also want to say that the app is now free, actually.
Awesome.
So you can get it for free.
So I said it correctly.
$99 charge.
Nice.
So that should make it a lot easier for you to get your friends and family on board. Peacekeeper is really about communities, neighbors, brothers, sisters, fathers, daughters, husbands, wives, taking responsibility for one another, and not depending on the people who cannot protect them when they need it. Whatever you believe politically or philosophically, the fact of the matter is that the police don't show up in time to stop crimes. They show up after the fact to investigate. So, we got the app built out. We've actually just launched our newest training program. We've partnered partnered up with some top-notch firearms trainers, and we're offering memberships. And so we're trying to give people the technology and training they need to prepare them for emergencies.
Excellent. Cody Drummond, the website is peacekeeper.org. Go check it out and download the app. It's available on iPhone and Android, and it's completely free.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like?
Yes, I am. So, hey, Cody, this was awesome. Thanks so much for calling in. Was there anything else that you wanted to share?
No, I think that's good. Thanks a lot for letting me jump in like that.
Thank you for doing it. Peace, man.
All right. Take care, Derek.
Cheers. And to those of you listening at home, I appreciate you for hanging in there. You can send a Bitcoin donation by using the QR code on your screen. And now I've got some more ads.
Others who think like you. Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 70% of the way to its goal of 20,000.
Oh, and just a reminder, if you want to call into this show and take control, share your stories of police abuse or accountability, you can do that. 443-424-8347, the number right on your screen. Or send a Skype contact request to Peace News Now. I want to hear from you. We've got some people in the chat room over at peacenewsnow.com/live. Go interact with them. They've got great things to say. And I'm sure you do too, so share them with us.
Originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeen.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeen.com. That's freekeen.com.
Did you know that you can listen to LRN.FM 24/7 via our free-to-air satellite channel? From Mexico to Canada, our signal covers nearly all of North America. All you need is a view of the southern sky, an affordable receiver, and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you're a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage map and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate, well, I know a guy who's really great. It's the realtor Mark Warden. Do you want a home with 20 acres, a lakeside cabin? Any takers for renters, buyers, and sellers too? Mark Warden is the guy for you. PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 10th of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com, advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
What is going on, world? Well, I got a few stories about the feds. This one. Feds dig up a law from 1789 to demand that Apple and Google decrypt their smartphones. Yeah, right. Also, a great comment from the chat room. IMB Colin writes, "Oh, there was a computer glitch. My dog ate my camera. My union forbids cameras. I shot my camera by mistake. It was raining, cats and dogs." A whole host of excuses that a police officer might use to say, "Oh, I don't know what happened to the video. Sorry, you didn't take personal responsibility for your own safety, your security, and holding police and the world around you accountable. Getting an objective record by recording video. You can do it with your smartphone. You can do it with a regular camera. You can even do it with one of these easily concealable pen cameras. You could keep it with you at all times. Very important to have your own record of what's happening. And one of the reasons why it's so important is because you control it. Well, one of the market responses to the Snowden revelations was that Apple, Google, and other companies who provide technology and services to people said, we're going to help our customers keep their data private. Like actually private. Like even private from the government. Private. And to do that, that meant using encryption. Fortunately, we live in the age of information. In the early 90s, encryption was made possible using PGP, a way for people to easily encrypt and decrypt emails and basically anything. This is how people with sensitive information, whistleblowers, are able to come forward to journalists, because these journalists are able to publish a public key, and then they are able to have emails sent to them from people who have encrypted their emails, and only they are able to decrypt them. So, of course, the feds have a hard time with this because they rely on collecting your private information to prosecute you with crimes, because it's not their job to respect your rights. It's not their job to protect you or serve you. It is their job to find and prosecute criminals. And with so many laws on the books that the feds themselves can't even number them, they don't even know how many there are, it's likely you're committing as many as 3 felonies a day by some estimates. But the feds, they want to know everything about you. They even want the ability to decrypt your private information on your cell phone. Surely the founding fathers would approve. The FBI has made it no secret. This is written by Ian Thompson at theregister.co.uk. He says, the FBI has made it no secret that it hates Apple and Google's efforts to encrypt files on your smartphones and tablets. Now, court documents have emerged showing just how far the feds are willing to go to decrypt citizens' data. How far is it? Are they willing to use force? Big surprise. The paperwork has shown 2 cases where federal prosecutors have cited the All Writs Act, which was enacted in 1789 as part of the Judiciary Act to force companies to decrypt information on gadgets. Oh, that trusty use of force. The government, they know no alternatives, right? Because when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And when you're a government, everything looks like force is the answer. Even if you have to dig up a law from 1789 to make it relevant. I mean, surely the founding fathers had no vision of what Apple and Google might be able to do with encryption. You know, they didn't make that pesky 4th Amendment that you should be secure in your persons and your papers for nothing, right? The act, which was signed into law by none other than George Washington and later revisited in the 20th century, gives courts the right to, quote, issue all writs necessary or appropriate in aid of their respective jurisdictions and agreeable to the usage and principles of law. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it's pretty broad, but the feds think it's just the right thing to force Apple and others to break down privacy protections. Last month, New York prosecutors successfully persuaded a judge that the ancient law could be used to force an unnamed smartphone manufacturer to help unlock a phone allegedly used in a credit card fraud case. Allegedly used. Okay, there's no proof offered here. But the judge, who is really, let's remember, just a lawyer in a robe, that's all he is, ordered the manufacturer to offer, quote, reasonable technical assistance to make the phone's contents available. Well, what is reasonable? Is it reasonable to bypass the phone's privacy features, the security features that are offered to customers for the purpose of protecting their private data? You think that's a reasonable technical assistance, judge? Well, I don't. In the second case, Northern California federal court prosecutors specifically named Apple in a similar case using the All Writs Act. How can these prosecutors look themselves in the mirror? How do they sleep with themselves at night? Do they really believe that a law from 1789 gives them the moral, not just the legal, but the moral authority to encrypt, or to decrypt rather, someone's private data? I mean, where do they get off thinking that they have the authority to do this? Oh, because it's written on a piece of paper somewhere by some slave-owning tyrants hundreds of years ago. Oh, I guess that makes it okay. Documents obtained by Ars Technica show federal law enforcement sought to get Apple to unlock an iPhone 5S as part of a criminal case. The court filing states investigators were unwilling to try and open the iPhone for fear of damaging a crucial piece of evidence. They asked the courts to force Apple to give them a hand in safely extracting data from the passcode-protected phone. It's an interesting legal tactic, but the feds may find out the hard way that the All Writs Act has its limitation. The argument used by Apple and Google over encryption is that even if they wanted to help the feds, they couldn't do anything about it because modern iOS and Android encrypts data in a way that only the owner can decrypt. Apple and Google say they don't hold any skeleton keys to devices, although sensitive data may end up in the cloud for the cops to seize. The Electronic Frontier Foundation had this to say: the court orders contemplate allowing companies to file an objection, and if they can't do it, then Apple and Google would spend real time fighting this. We'll return with more from this story on Peace News.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now...
Hey, short break, everyone. Thanks for following along. For those of you who are just joining us, we're talking about the new crazy federal lawsuit involving Apple, Google, and a law from 1789. Surely the founding fathers would approve of using the Judiciary Act and the All Writs Act to force companies to decrypt your private information. Unbelievable. But par for the course for government, of course.
And you get intact. Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Badadi.
We can also get interactive. If you're watching along and you're entertained or you have something to share on this topic, I want to talk with you. We had a couple of callers earlier, so I'm not that lonely, but I mean, I can finish this show myself. I just love to get interactive about, what do you really think about this? Like, do you even encrypt your smartphone data? I'll be honest, I don't care. You got something you find out about me? I live a pretty public life, but I respect that people love privacy. They want to use it. And the more of us who use encryption, the easier it makes it for people who need to protect their private data to do that effectively, right? Like, so if only people who want to be private use encryption, and people who want to be public don't, then the feds just go after the people who are using encryption, right? And makes them pretty easy targets. But if everyone uses encryption, well, then it's like finding a needle in a haystack, and we're providing a little bit of cover for those peaceful folks who just want some privacy. So consider that the next time you install some app to encrypt your smartphone. We'll be right back in 2 minutes.
The Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country.
Yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market, making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing. To be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Welcome back to Peace News. Hey, we got an update about the camera story. Obama is looking for millions of dollars so that he can equip the country's law enforcement with wearable cameras. A good idea on face. When you consider the cost, maybe this could be done another way. Maybe it could be done a little bit cheaper. One commenter responds to our video. He writes that training works out to $7,000 per camera. The total cost is $525 million for 50,000 cameras. That equals $10,500 per camera. Okay, so you want police to wear body cams. Is that at any cost? How much are you willing to pay to have every officer wear a camera? Wouldn't it be cheaper and more effective if you just bought your own? How many cameras could you buy with $10,000? Seems like you could get everything you needed. A dash cam, keep a couple cameras by the windows, put one near your door, put one in your purse, put one in your bug out bag. I mean, you could put cameras all over. You could have a wearable camera that you wear with you every day. $10,000 just seems like a bit much for this project. I appreciate the comments as they come in. Of course, you can follow along and submit your own comments over at peacenewsnow.com/live. Now, we're finishing up a story that comes to us from The Register at theregister.co.uk. Final paragraph reads, as for whether or not this law, and we're talking about a law called the All Writs Act from 1789, which some of the feds are using as their justification in air quotes, for extracting private user data by forcing companies like Apple and Google to assist the feds in violating your privacy. Now, as for whether or not this law could be used to force smartphone sellers to include a backdoor or spyware for police, or even a front door, as the FBI says it wants, Crocker from the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, said that such use of the All Writs Act isn't a settled legal issue, and the EFF would be taking a long, hard look at any attempts to do so. Well, that's positive. The Electronic Frontier Foundation, of course, does incredible work. I encourage you to check out their website, EFF.org. So we turn next to a story from antiwar.com, where in Oakley, Michigan, secret police are suing the village and demand to keep their names secret because of ISIS. Why is this? Jason Ditz writes, the village of Oakley, Michigan is easy to miss, even when you're driving through it. There's one stoplight, and on either side are a gas station and a tavern or a restaurant. 290 people call it home. It's also home to one of the most bizarre secret police organizations in the United States. Tiny little Oakley has over 100 reservist police who basically bought their badges from the police chief. The reservists reportedly include high-profile Michigan lawyers who use their nominal status as police officers to access police databases for cases, and NFL players who want to carry guns into stadiums, which would be illegal if they weren't sort of cops. I say reportedly because the list of reservists is secret. Not just in that it hasn't been made public, but preposterously, it's secret. Like last month, when the village finally managed to force the police to stop being police, because they had no insurance at the time and the village couldn't afford the lawsuits, they asked the state police to try and help get all the equipment back, and conceded that even they have no clue who these reservists who have all their equipment are. Some of that equipment reportedly included Pentagon-provided gear, because a 290-person village surrounded by farmland clearly needs that. The attempts to eliminate the police force began in September, failed, and continued up until the courts finally upheld the village council's right to take away police powers they granted it in the first place. That's likely to be reversed as the November election saw pro-police candidates sweep the vote. But that's a discussion for another time. Rather, the focus now is already approved Freedom of Information Act requests for the names of those secret police, filed in some cases by the village council members themselves. There had been no response from the police other than a vague mention of ISIS. But now, there's an outright lawsuit. According to the Saginaw News, the new lawsuit is filed by multiple John Does and the reservist force in general. Apparently, they didn't even want the courts to know who they are, and the suit is once again citing the perceived threat from ISIS as a reason to keep their names as police officers secret from the public, from the village they putatively work for, from everybody. Now, I just have to briefly take a moment to interject here. Really? Really, cops? You're going to use ISIS as an excuse not to reveal yourselves? That's pretty weak. Every Every age has its boogeymen. Oh, it used to be the communists. You know, before that, it was the heathens. After the communists, we had I don't know what people fear now. They fear the Middle East. Those Muslims. Those foreigners. Those Mexicans coming for our jobs. There's always someone to fear, right? Today, it's ISIS. So if you just shout, well, we're concerned about the boogeyman, whoever he is at the day, you know, if it's Al-Qaeda, oh, Al-Qaeda's over. So now it's ISIS now. Then people are just supposed to shut up and not question it anymore. Hey, we're concerned because ISIS. It's like when people used to say, oh, it's a post 9/11 world, so, you know, no more freedoms. Really? Who's falling for this anymore? So the lawsuit goes on to accuse the owner of the tavern, who in a village this small, you'll find unsurprising, was also a village council member, of plotting against the police over liquor violation laws. So that too is a topic with a crazy amount of backstory, starting with a policeman unsuccessfully trying to pick up a waitress. Small towns, man. I've seen it here in Keene. In Philadelphia, we don't have some of these kinds of problems. Yeah, there's corruption, of course. There's corruption all over. But small towns have it bad, man. Because everybody knows each other. Everyone's screwing each other. Oh, a policeman unsuccessfully tries to pick up a waitress, and now there's a whole plot to take over the police and liquor village laws, whatever. So this led to demands from the chief to fire the waitress and half a dozen harassment lawsuits from the tavern against the police chief, most of which the tavern owner won, which were a big part in why Oakley's old insurance company dropped them. The lawsuit goes on to cite a Department of Homeland Security bulletin which warns that law enforcement should consider themselves targets for ISIS, which is a ridiculous claim in the ass end of Saginaw County, undoubtedly, because these reservists aren't remotely law enforcement officers. They just bought their badges so that they could flout the law. Yeah, I've had a toy tin badge before. It didn't cost thousands of dollars.
Liberty activists around the country are starting to realize politics alone won't set us free. So what will? At Liberty on the Rocks, we believe the answer starts with living your principles, spreading ideas, and connecting with those around you. By starting a Liberty on the Rocks network, you can make a difference by uniting libertarian thinkers. Find out how much fun it is to build your local network from the ground up. Visit libertyontherocks.org today to get started.
Are you a sneezer? If you're not, can you get close to one? I don't literally mean someone sneezing. Sneezer, as defined by marketing guru Seth Godin, is an opinion leader. When a sneezer mentions something, other people catch what Godin calls the idea virus. Seth Godin says some people are more likely to tell their friends about a great new idea. So identifying and courting sneezers is a key success factor for idea merchants. His book, Unleashing the Idea Virus, is the most downloaded ebook in history, and you can download the whole book free. That's how he's making his idea contagious. Click tips, tricks, and other stuff to help you cut through the clutter at www.survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Instead of just listening, you can also watch. See the Liberty Radio Network's Keene, New Hampshire-based live shows via our studio cam at cam.lrn.fm. Plus, you'll still be able to listen to the Liberty Radio Network via the cam feed in high quality 24/7, even when there's no live show being produced in our Keene studio. But wait, there's more. Our chat room is built into the cam page so you can interact with other listeners online. Listen, watch, and chat.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening along and watching. I appreciate you, the viewers. And if you want to call in, now is the time to do it. 443-424-8347. Numbers on the bottom of the screen. You can also Skype Peace News Now because we're coming up against the end of the show. And I've only got one more story to share with you. Carter, that's Ashton Carter, Hagel's likely replacement, as the head of defense secretary, he pushed myriad wars over weapons of mass destruction. He's one of these war hawks. And you, if you are a peace hawk or a peace dove, need to be aware of his history so that, you know, when this stuff comes up on the TV and the talking points in the water cooler of, hey, did you hear about a replacement of a Secretary of Defense? Yeah, well, you can have a little bit of knowledge about who is this guy? What's his history like? Is Obama choosing well? This would be his 4th defense secretary in his 2 terms. And that's kind of a lot. It's kind of a lot to go through. Why are they all dropping like flies? We'll ask that question and answer many more when we return in just 1 minute.
To comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Yeah, what's up, world? It's our final segment here on Peace News. I want to talk about this replacement for the Secretary of Defense and why is he leaving and what do we know about his possible replacement. I think it's important, even though I tend not to follow the federal government because what they do, it doesn't matter. But they are affecting the lives of millions of people around the world, many of whom live under their oppressive thumb overseas in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. So the Secretary of Defense, kind of important and affecting people's lives, especially if you're someone who values peace in the world. Jason Ditz reports at news.antiwar.com today. With most of the Obama administration's first and second and third choices for defense secretary after sacking Chuck Hagel, making it abundantly clear that they don't want the job, the administration seems to be scraping around in the bottom of the barrel and has come up with former Deputy Defense Secretary Ashton Carter, a longtime academic derided as the next coming of Paul Wolfowitz. Carter oversaw several enormously expensive weapons development projects, including the F-35. Throughout the time in office, Carter's public comments mostly centered on condemning potential military budget cuts. Because nothing's more important than expanding the military. Carter has been seen as a potential candidate when Hagel was selected and left office shortly thereafter, leading many to believe his role in government was over. It was only after Michelle Flonnery and several others spurned the job that the administration has come back to Carter's name as a Hagel replacement. Why don't people want this job? On the policy side of things, Carter is just a run-of-the-mill hawk who in 2006 pushed for the Bush administration to attack North Korea over its nuclear program and pushed for a redefinition of the war on terror into a war on WMDs. Carter argued that the Iraq war itself started over WMDs, was justified at the time, but said that North Korea and Iran were both far graver threats that needed to be confronted, urging the U.S. to center its policy on a mixture of coercion and diplomacy. Yeah, because that's how marriages work out, right? With a little bit of coercion and diplomacy. That's how you want all your relationships to be. In business, in finance, in personal romantic relationships, a little bit of coercion, and a little bit of diplomacy. You know, we can communicate and use force against one another, right? I mean, what kind of world do these sociopaths live in where this sounds like a reasonable idea? Like, the U.S. needs to center its policy on a mixture. This is a quote of coercion and diplomacy. Carter was also a typical the anti-Iran hawks in arguing that deterrence doesn't work against Iran because of its extremist ideology, and claiming that even a civilian Iranian nuclear program would threaten the entire region, and repeatedly insisted that military action was a vital part of a comprehensive strategy against Iran. What Carter's selection will mean for the focus on the ISIS war remains to be seen, but with ISIS not a significant WMD threat beyond its makeshift chemical weapons, he may seek to shift focus toward other conflicts. Who knows? But this is what we do know about Ashton Carter, Hagel's likely replacement. He's another war hawk. Big surprise. Were you expecting any different? Well, who was it? Ron Paul spoke up about this decision. He says that minding our own business is the best policy. This comes to us from Russia Today. I'll play this brief clip. We've got an excerpt, and then we've got to end this thing.
And we begin today with buzz around the next Secretary of Defense. It's reported that President Obama has chosen Chuck Hagel's replacement as Secretary of Defense, Ashton Carter.
Yeah. We know all about this guy.
DOD man, and
Get
has
to Ron
spent
Paul.
at least 5 years in the Pentagon's number 2 and 3 positions. Similar to the president, Carter too is an academic. He was a Harvard professor who headed up a program called the Preventive Defense Project.
Harvard, Princeton, Yale, bullets, banks, and bombs.
Now, in that book, he highlighted A, B, and C level threats to national security, where he cited China and Russia as potential threats.
Oh, they're threats. Be afraid.
The Department of
Be
Defense's
very afraid and give the government more power.
Distinguished Service Medal. On 5
Give the government more power to protect you against the threats.
Former advisor to Goldman Sachs and a senior partner
Oh,
at
a
technology.
former advisor to Goldman Sachs. Isn't that interesting? So pay attention, because the people who are controlling the world have several things in common. Gerald Celente has pointed this out many times. Harvard, Princeton, Yale, bullets, banks, and bombs. That's what they have in common. Harvard, Princeton, Yale, bullets, banks, and bombs. And it seems like this guy's got 2 out of 6 at least.
Well, it doesn't
Here's
make
Ron
any
Paul.
sense whatsoever, and we wouldn't expect very much. But what's even worse is the foreign policy doesn't make any sense. That's why he's having trouble finding somebody. So how do you manage a policy that nobody can clearly define and nobody knows what to expect? And this is why he's looking for number 4 man to run the department. But I think it's really that is the real problem, is that we've taken it upon ourselves to be involved around the world. We don't know where we start, where we end, how long it's going to last. We're told we're in perpetual war, and nobody has
Ron
a
Paul.
clear-cut policy. It's so different
Get 'em.
than it was, back when wars were declared. We knew who the enemy was, and there was an end point. But now it's endless. The only thing that we know about these suggestions of the people that they might have, they're establishment people. They know about government intervention. They endorse the idea that we should be involved overseas, and they don't agree with me on the policy that non-intervention, minding our own business, would be best for America. And that's so clearly understood. There's nobody that would question the lack of understanding of that type of policy. So I would expect they're not going to find anybody who can carry out a policy that nobody understands.
Yeah, but that doesn't really benefit the establishment, does it, Ron Paul?
Accomplishments and a lot of experience under his belt. He's obviously a very educated and an intellectual man. Carter has even served as the COO of the Department of Defense. But there's one thing.
Wow, well, he's an intellectual.
He's never ever served in the armed forces. All of his
So he must really know about
have
using
served,
violence.
And you yourself have served. How do you think a scholar serving as the defense secretary will affect America's role in fighting ISIS or other similar threats abroad?
Well, you know what? I wouldn't worry a whole lot about that, because if I had somebody that for various reasons didn't serve in the military, hopefully noble, but they had a position that made a lot of sense and they understood what national defense was all about and why intervention is bad, whether or not they have served probably doesn't matter that much. I do think there's some advantage for an individual like myself who spent 5 years in the military and had actual experience there. But I think it's the understanding of what policy should be, the difference between non-intervention and intervention, and how we should treat our friends and how we should work with the people around the world. That is what counts, and not whether or not they've had a specific number of time in the military. A matter of fact, if they spent too much time in the military and loved it, and they got, to the point where they accepted everything that the military does, I think it would be a negative.
Another excellent point, Ron Paul.
Maybe an advantage for Carter, seeing as he's never served?
Well, no, I don't think for him, because I haven't seen any signs that he has resisted or criticized the notion that we should have perpetual war, that, he's working.
Of course
with
not. This guy
Democrats,
believes in
with
perpetual war
Republicans,
just like
and he believes
1984.
in,
We've
truth
always been at
overseas,
war
and
with East
so,
Asia.
No, I don't think that the fact that he hasn't served would be a positive for him. Maybe it would have awakened him a little bit or something, but I don't think that should be the litmus test.
Now, Dr. Paul, you mentioned in your Straight Talk recording about Hagel's opposition to the president's no boots on the ground motto. Hagel leaning more towards preventive warfare tactics in Syria, not just against ISIS, but rather for regime
preventive
change
warfare,
Assad.
like
Now,
engaging
given
in
Carter's
violence.
book
That sounds
and Harvard
preventive.
project of the same name called Preventive Warfare, do you see America escalating our presence in the Middle East, specifically in Syria?
Well, I sure don't see it de-escalating, because, the pressure is being put on the administration, and the hawks are growing in number. And I think they're going to keep escalating the war, but they're in a bind. The American government's in a bind because they want to get rid of Assad, and Assad is fighting our enemies, ISIS. So it makes no sense. The policy is so ridiculous.
Oh, I hate to cut off Ron Paul when he's on a tear like that, but we're out of time. This has been Peace News. You can catch us online at peacenewsnow.com and catch me at my website, derekj.me. I'll see you tomorrow for Cop Block Radio. Hey, and I want to thank those of you who have watched and listened along to this episode of Peace News. If you enjoyed it, please kick 50 cents worth of Bitcoin my way using the QR code there you see on your screen. That helps me to produce more content and to stay up this night. I worked a full day, 12-hour shift at work, and then I scarfed down a burger or two, burned some soup on the stove so that I can get on air and bring you this content. So if you value it, kick some value my way. It's a mutual exchange, and we want a peaceful, voluntary society. This is how we do it. We build it, and we take personal responsibility. Thank you. Mwah. See you next time.